serving. Some may be in the movement 15 years or 20 years or whatever. So, of course, Prabhupada spent his life in preparation. And then when he went to the Western world, that is when we see the fruits of all of his work. But all of that was accomplished in about 10 years. So that was a very short period of time. So he went from nothing to everything within that short period of time. So that is something in itself difficult to accomplish. It took us, I think, 10 years to build this one temple. Other places, they struggle also to build something. And we've been maybe struggling to build the Vedic planetarium for, I don't know, maybe 40 years or so. Long period of time. So some of our projects continue a long time. And of course, it's a material world, so we expect a lot of difficulties, so we have to struggle to do things. But we also see that if there is a will to serve Krishna, then Krishna also responds very nicely, and we get very good results. So that is the case we see in Srila Prabhupada. When he went to America, then when he was still on the ship, then he said that, oh, perhaps I can, preach in America. Maybe I can make a devotee or so, and that is success. He says, I'm also the puppet in Krishna's hand, so whatever he wants, I will do. So his very ambition even to go to America was also somewhat, accidental. Somehow he ended up in America, even though the odds of him going there were very, very little to begin with. Somehow he ended up in America because he had that strong will to accomplish the order of a spiritual master and achieve something very significant in terms of expanding Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement. So he went to America, and even there we see for the first year nothing much happened. But then gradually we see that the movement took hold and it began to expand very rapidly all over America and into Europe, and then he came back to India. When Prabhupada came to India, then he wanted to establish something in India. The devotees, of course, were not quite understanding what was the motive of Prabhupada, because all of the accomplishments were in the Western world. So why we had to come back to India after Prabhupada left India, because nothing was happening there. He couldn't do anything there. And then he went to America and established something. So why come back to India? But Prabhupada had another type of vision, so he worked very hard to establish something in India, in spite of the fact that at that time it was difficult to establish. And he would go to different prominent people, ask them for land, and nobody gave anything. He went to so many people in Calcutta, and Delhi, and Bombay, and Amritsar, and so many other places. In fact, he traveled all over India, and the main idea was to purchase or get some land, hopefully donated by someone. And of course, he didn't actually get as many donations. I think the first donation was a Vrindavan land, and the second Hyderabad land. The others he had to purchase. So he had to purchase in Bombay, he had to purchase in Mayapur. So those are the centers that came up first. So it was a struggle to do all of this. And it was a struggle to raise money also. So the first projects were actually supported by foreign money. So the BBT in America was giving money. Foreign temples were giving money to support Mayapur and help build the Bombay project. Not so much was coming from India itself. So the beginning in India was also somewhat of a struggle. However, we do see that as years went on, everything began to change, and India began to grow. In the beginning, all the devotees from the Western world, so Prabhupada brought devotees from the Western world to India. But now it's the opposite, because Indian devotees go to other countries. So gradually the shift took place, and India began to grow in terms of financial stability, in terms of number of temples, in terms of number of devotees, etc., in terms of book distribution. All these things began to grow until India became number one in the world. So no one could have predicted that in the beginning when everything was taking place in foreign countries and nothing was taking place in India. And India was a big struggle that had to be supported by the Western world. Now it's the opposite. India is big and they have to support other places. So Prabhupada has some sort of vision of India, particularly for supporting the whole world. So that's why he came back to India and established things here. Of course, apart from that, there is the idea that India is special because it has sacred tirthas like Mayapur and Vrindavan. So, in this way, it serves as a spiritual centers for the whole world. So, in any case, Prabhupada started with a struggle wherever he went, but very quickly he established something. So, within that short period of 10 years, he managed to translate many books and establish temples. Vrindavan temple got open and Hyderabad temple got open. Unfortunately, Bombay temple didn't open in time before he disappeared. So two temples had opened. Others were not there so much. There wasn't even land in Delhi at that time when he disappeared. So even when he had disappeared, it was somewhat of a struggle to accomplish things. So nevertheless, things have expanded since that time a lot. So we should utilize nicely what is being given by the grace of Krishna and due to Prabhupada's efforts. We should utilize that in the best way possible to see further expansion. Now, of course, to maintain is okay, better than not maintain at all and have things dilapidate and shrink and perish or whatever. So better that we at least keep what we have. But then, of course, as I said, since Prabhupada disappears, things have expanded, particularly in India. So, but even then, whatever we expanded, we should maintain that nicely. But maintenance also is not enough. We have to continue to expand and grow upon what we had previously. So we see that in the material world, people struggle to establish anything. Once they establish, then it's a struggle to maintain that, whatever it is, whether it's a business or a house or whatever. You have to keep struggling to maintain that for some, with effort, whatever. And if you don't put the effort into it, then it begins to disintegrate. So for the whole society, worldwide, and for India also, we have to see that we maintain what we have, and we also grow very nicely, and that will be pleasing to Srila Prabhupada. So he was, of course, if we can maintain good, but if we can expand further and further, then this is more pleasing to Srila Prabhupada. But also, what does that expansion mean? That expansion, of course, takes place on different levels. But it doesn't just mean numbers of people or amounts of money, because that's material. It actually means people who have developed sincere faith, real faith in Krishna. They have faith in the scriptures, the proper scriptures, etc. So if we can get more and more people to get that proper faith, then that is a measure of expanding our movement. So not only numbers, but we can see who has actually developed that faith so they can practice Krishna consciousness steadily. That is the people that really count. So in this way, if we can expand that number, very, very good. Say, step in the right direction. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur was dreaming of expanding the movement, etc., thinking of how the people of the Western world and the people of India could all take part in kirtan, etc. So that dream has been partially fulfilled by the movement today. You see devotees from all around the world come and they congregate in holy places of Vrindavan and Mayapur. They do kirtan together and have discussions on topics of Krishna. So that is somewhat accomplished also. But we can do much more. We can always expand in many, many ways. The world never remains static. It's always changing. It may change for the good, it may change for the bad, or whatever, but it's always changing. So we also have to change. Otherwise, if we don't change, then we also die. Just like a plant, if it doesn't adapt to the circumstances, then it also perishes. Or as Darwin says, if you don't adapt, then you perish. The species gets extinct if it doesn't adapt to the environment or whatever like that. So we have to adapt the preaching movement to the present environment and find the best possible means of spreading pure bhakti within this constantly changing environment. So at the same time, we know that bhakti in the Gaudiya tradition is a conservative in one sense. We follow parampara. We don't change things unnecessarily. We like to preserve things very, very exactly. But certain things we have to change. Certain things we don't change. Certain things we have to change according to the times, because society is changing, earth is changing, everything is changing. So we have to change our preaching strategies according to the present conditions on earth. But there's a delicate balance between that and what we don't change, the things we cannot change at all. So that will be the test of how ISKCON survives in the future, how we preserve the core values of the movement and at the same time are flexible enough to propagate these within a changing society using new means or whatever. So this is a good guideline for us to expand continually in the future without corrupting the movement or changing the movement. So we have to be aware of these two principles: change plus no change. And within that, then we try to expand the movement. If we do so, then we continue to expand. We survive very nicely and expand. And we please Srila Prabhupada and the previous acharyas.